Hello, and welcome to our Penn State BioBlitz presentation. I'm Jade,
And I'm Nadeja.
and we'll just hop right into it. First off, we have the black-eyed Susan. Its scientific name is the Rudbeckia hirta. It is native to Northeast and Central America, but has been making its way west and even has shown up in some parts of China. They're very tolerant of drastic physical changes in their environment, specifically fire. They are pioneer plants, meaning that once a fire has pretty much leveled everything, they're one of the first plants to start regrowing and start repopulating the area. But they tend to hold up longer than other plants in those drastic changes before it all gets leveled. They're very popular with animals, many different animals like flies, bees, birds, butterflies, and even some pests like beetles because of their sweet nectar. Many Native American tribes over the years have used the Rudbeckia hirta for its medicinal properties. They have been known to help with infections, colds, and even some swelling. Just overall, they just put it in everything to help with everything. But fun fact, they're actually pretty toxic, and it's been said that you should probably stray pretty far away from these if you're choosing to consume any plants. Next up, we have the Eastern white pine, which scientific name is the Pinus strobus. It is native to Southeast Canada and Northeastern United States. And like the black-eyed Susan, it's also a pioneer plant and also pretty much fireproof, meaning it and the black-eyed Susans are going to be the first ones popping up after a fire destroys everything. It has 12 chromosomes and is hermaphroditic, meaning that it has male and female reproductive organs, which also means that it produces male and female pine cones. It has a rapid growing rate, which is really helpful to humans because they can use the lumber and not have to worry about waiting really long times to be able to reproduce all the wood that they need. It's also really helpful because we use these as Christmas trees and we need these trees every Christmas. So if they didn't grow very fast, we would have to get a new tree and that just wouldn't look right. The interesting fact for this organism is that the needles grow in groups of 5. Many people like to remember this because white, WHITE, has 5 letters, 5 needles. Yeah. Next up is lichen. Lichen is a fungus and an algae in one, but it's primarily made up of the fungus. It gets its energy through photosynthesis teamwork, which pretty much means the algae takes in the carbon and transfers it into something that the fungus can use. They are also extremophiles, meaning they can live wherever they please. They can live in really hot climates, they can live in really cold climates because they're able to change and adapt to their environment. They freeze in colder environments and are able to store that energy and use it over longer periods of time, and are able to speed up the energy process in hotter environments. They're also master absorbers, which means they can take in all the pollutants from the air, which is really helpful to humans because we don't need all those in the air. We want to breathe good air. The interesting fact about them is that there's over 18,000 species of lichen. And there's no scientific name because the lichen are usually named after the fungus that's in them, but there's so many of those, this one was hard to identify.
Okay, so the vertebrate animal we decided to do our research on is the eastern chipmunk. We used the iNaturalist app to coordinate the location in which we found it, but we found it outside the Health and Development Building. Chipmunks commonly lived throughout the middle and eastern sections of the United States. They use trees and bushes for protection and to store food. They acquire energy by hibernation. Chipmunks will stuff extra food such as nuts, worms, berries, bird eggs, and eat it basically to get energy. Chipmunks help spread the seeds of food. Chipmunks help spread the seeds of food producing bushes, which is important to humans. Additional information we have is that the average lifespan of a chipmunk is 3 years in the wild. In our experience identifying this organism, it was pretty easy. They're common in this area. Yeah. Next up, we have the invertebrate insect, the cricket. We also use the iNaturalist app to identify the coordinates and take pictures and everything for that. But we basically found it outside the Finley Commons. Crickets, they're all over the globe, basically. You can find them literally anywhere, in upper tree canopies, bushes, grasses, herbs, anywhere, all over. Crickets help break down dead leaves and other debris in the environment. They acquire energy by eating proteins, grains, insect larvae, flowers, seeds, leaves, fruit, grasses, all that type of stuff. They are important because they consume cellulose-rich plant materials and produce fecal that is then decomposed by bacteria and fungi, which is important to us humans. Additional information we have is basically the common name is just a bush cricket. Yeah, that's all.
So our experience, it was pretty easy to find most things, except every single plant was a flowering plant. It was pretty difficult to find the non-flowering plants because when you looked it up, even if they didn't have flowers and you thought they would never grow flowers because you've never seen flowers on that plant, they grew flowers. But we used the examples that we were told in bio, the moss and the pine tree. So it was pretty easy to find once you knew what you were looking for. Also, iNaturalist was being really difficult and didn't want to identify most of the organisms that we put in initially. They were just like, no, we don't know what that is, but good luck. Also, the Arboretum, great place to find most things. So many different flowering plants. There were so many animals over there just chilling. The non-flowering plants, they had a few of those and everything was labeled. So you didn't have to go and use a secondary app to figure out what the things actually were. And invertebrates don't sit still. They're not very friendly animals. They don't like to have their picture taken. They don't like to be near people unless they initiate the contact and want to get on your nerves. But yeah. So our experiment. Firstly, our question is, does sound affect the growth of black-eyed Susan? Our hypothesis is that sound has a positive effect on the growth of black-eyed Susans. Sound elicits many responses in plants. It promotes growth, it induces a defense mechanism, and it releases chemicals. This diagram right here, the first part, it induces growth by vibrations. Plants naturally produce their own vibrations and little sounds. So any sounds just around them would help promote that growth because it's speeding up the process that's already happening inside them. It also elicits a defense mechanism that's like, oh, we need to make sure we're prepared to fight whatever that sound is over there. So we want to be as good as we can be. It also releases chemicals, which can affect things that might grow on those plants, but it doesn't really affect how high they grow. they'll still grow pretty tall either way. So for our experiment, we're gonna plant black-eyed Susans in 3 areas. One high noise level area, which has about pretty, I'd say medium to loud noise throughout the whole entire day. Like it's consistently not quiet. One medium noise level area, which is like sound goes in and out, but like there are periods of time where you can be in that area and be like, oh, it's noisy, or oh, like it's really quiet. And then one low level noise area is silent day in, day out, all the time, whenever you go there. So we'll observe over a 2-month period of time, July to August, because it is in its prime during June to September. So the middle of those months would be the best to look at because it's where everything's growing and being good. It's not just coming in and it's not just going out. And then lastly, you just measure the height of the flowers at the end of those 2 months. And if the ones in the high level area have grown taller, then our hypothesis is supported. If they don't, then it doesn't support our hypothesis. And that's pretty much that. These are our resources. Have a good day or night, and goodbye.
Thanks for listening.